Greetings, Del HS community. Welcome to another edition of Holding Court here on the First Day Hoops Report YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, Chris Stevens, the founding editor of First Day Hoops Report. Hopefully, you all have had a tremendous week and are getting ready for the week ahead. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of today's episode, we're going to be talking about the week that was in boys and girls basketball. I definitely want to send a thank you out to Sean Green of WDEL for inviting me to provide game analysis and color commentary for the Howard Newark broadcast this past Saturday. When I was in high school, I actually went to Howard High School of Technology, class of 1999, and we had communications technology. That was one of our vocational areas, which of course basically was TV and radio production. And I did the sports reports on a school news TV show called VTR. So that was my first time doing anything in the broadcast realm in 24 years. Yeah, 24 years, because in 98, middle of 98, 99 is when they moved ComTech to Del Castle and called it the Academy of Communications and Publishing. So, yeah, my senior year at Howard was kind of like a lost cause with that. But anyway, being able to be on a broadcast, provide some game insight and be able to talk about First Day Hoops Report, be able to work with someone as knowledgeable and as talented and as hardworking as Sean Green is. I don't think people talk enough about the job that Sean does. He's tried very hard to get back into the swing of things with sports, and people don't give him enough credit for everything that he does. So just want to give Sean his flowers and thank him once again for the opportunity. That was a professional dream of mine. I always wanted to be on a broadcast, covering basketball. So that was fun. So I definitely want to thank Sean for that. Got a lot to talk about this week because there was a lot that went on in boys and girls basketball. And we'll start with the boys. We discovered there's a lot of talent in this state, a lot of good teams that could possibly win a state tournament game or two. But one team that stood out head and shoulders above everybody else had to be the Middletown Cavaliers. Of course, they went down to Seaford on Saturday and took care of business in a 90-75 victory, elevating them to 8-1 on the season. And whatever you want to say about Middletown in terms of depth, they've got it. You have the Jadens, Rogers or McGee. Take your pick. They'll hurt you. Marcus Edmond, Amir Cunningham, Tyrann Henson, of course, who's going to play wide receiver at the next level in Division I college football. Amir Height, point guard. You name it, they got it. And Coach Ali has those guys playing in a way that just feels like their chemistry and their bond just can't be broken by what Coach Ali termed when we spoke for preseason is outside noise. So that Middletown team is dangerous. Make no mistake about it. They proved that they're for real, because going down to Seaford is not an easy win. And being able to win by double digits, they were leading by 6 going into the fourth quarter. Then they started that fourth quarter on a little bit of a run. And there are some teams in this state that when they make a run, you're literally at their mercy. Saw it Saturday at Howard. Got to give Newark credit. Shannon McCann's once again doing a phenomenal job with coaching that team. And they may not have the numbers, but they weren't going to quit. They actually led Howard by 10 early in the first half, but that Wildcat run ended up catching on with it. But again, back to Middletown. A team of that caliber, with that depth, with that bond, with that coaching, it's going to be very tough to beat. And I hope everybody gets a chance to see them play at some point in the season, whether it's now, whether it's down at the Chase for Unlock the Light. That Chase game, that Unlock the Light game versus Howard is going to be very interesting. It should have been the one that, to be the nightcap, but I don't make the schedule. Just my opinion. A couple surprising results this week on the boys' side, one in the private sector and one in the public sector. St. Elizabeth's went into Father Birkenhard Gymnasium and upset Salesianum 54-45 on Friday night. Credit goes to Mike Cassidy, the St. E's coach, for having him ready for that environment, because Sally's Gym is a very tough place to play. I don't care who you are. If you're Middletown, if you're Tower Hill, if you're Howard, if you're Seaford, if you're St. E's, if you're St. Mark's, they don't take no prisoners in that gym. They have one of the most boisterous and, shall we say, agitative student sections in the state. So credit to St. E for surviving that environment and coming out with a big win for that program. Mount Pleasant worked their way into our top 10 last week, much to the dismay of the Polytech contingent, and ended up losing to Hodson 56-43 on Thursday. So Flight A is right now the deepest conference, the deepest division in Delaware boys basketball. there are only 2 teams that are below 500 right now, and that's Newark at 4-5 and Del Castle 3-4. And both of those teams can turn it around really quickly. So, and the big 3 right now is Middletown, Appo, and St. George. They are combined 23-3 as of the recording of this episode. That's one thing we got to say about when we record these things and do this stuff. We always have to preface it that, yes, this is, recorded ahead in advance. So whatever happens after that is out of our control. That reminds me, when we posted our top 10 for last week, someone had a beef with Caravel's Girls being number 1. That was before they lost to Tad. We'll talk about that in a minute. So just be mindful that when we put these lists out, when we do these things, we're dealing with the information that's given to us at the moment. Anything that happens after that, we'll just have to adjust. Point blank, period. That being said, there's a lot to like about the boys at this point. Tower Hill is still very good. They just lost their first to a very good Malvern Prep team. Caravel is solid. Dover, Cape Henlope, and Polytech down south. Laurel as well. Howard is a team that you can watch out for. Seaford is still going to be very good. I hope people don't look at Seaford losing Milltown and just automatically dismiss them as a state title contender. No, that Seaford team is going to be there until the end. So you have at least 10 or 12 teams that can legitimately make a run at a state championship, and there are like 15 to 20 others that can make life miserable for those contenders. And that's what you want. You don't want just 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5 teams just to be like, okay, these are the 5 that have the best chance to win the championship. There's at least 15 teams that could end up with the trophy at the end of the year, and no one would be surprised. Maybe that's more of like the good side of school choice, and probably talk more about that, in another episode. Again, I keep saying I'm going to give you guys a history lesson. And yes, I am going to, next week is Martin Luther King, excuse me. Let me get myself together. Martin Luther King Day is next Monday. So it's the perfect time to give you guys a history lesson about public school and school choice in Delaware and how it all ties into the sports, especially basketball. Looking forward to giving you guys that history lesson. That being said, there's usually a thing in college football called Separation Saturday. I know you college football fans are familiar. That's usually one Saturday out of the season where the championship contenders for conference championships, for bowls, for FCS, and the national championship playoff, they all establish themselves during that one particular Saturday. Or in case of Del HS basketball, there needs to be a separation week. And I don't think we'll have one probably until the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, because everybody's so bunched up right now. Everybody's getting wins where they can get them. And there really are some, surprises at like 4-1 and 5-1 and 6-1. And there are some surprises on the other side. They're like 3-3, 4-4, 2-5. And the beautiful thing about the way the season works out is we do this thing called 24 and more, where we handicap every conference's state tournament perspective. So we know what the formula is, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I was not good at math in school. So math is not my thing. I literally have to go over these numbers over and over again so I don't mess this up. If you're not familiar with the basketball tournament formula, here's how it goes. I'll do this every episode until everybody feels like, okay, Chris, we get the point. So every win for a team is worth 2 points. If your opponent is above 500 or better, a 5-on-1 winning percentage or better, it's worth 1 point. If that opponent has a winning percentage of 701 or better, that's 2 bonus points. So you can see that a lot of teams will be racking up bonus points, because there will be quite a few teams that will finish like 15-5 or 16-4 or 17-3. And then as long as you have teams that are 11-9 on your schedule, that's another point. So the formula is not hard. Keeping track of the numbers is hard. So when we do 24 or more, please take and note that it's not a definitive. It is what the information is at the moment, and it's me making sure my brain doesn't short circuit when I'm putting all this math together. So yeah, 24 or more, we'll probably start that once every team on the boys and girls side has played at least 10 games, because it's too early to do it now, because we still got teams that are at 4, 5, 6, and 7 games. Like, it's too early. Once we get to a halfway point, we'll start dropping 24 or more. So that means that'll probably be around, first week of February, just to make sure everybody's prepared. Moving on to the girls' side now, we saw Ursuline for the first time since the semifinals last March. And of course, when you add two nationally ranked eighth graders, being Gigi Banks and Taylor Brown, it makes you a better team. And Ursuline won against St. E's 57-45, but it wasn't easy. And a lot of credit for that goes to Erica Huggins, the junior forward for St. E. Her improvement from just being like a role player as a ninth grader on that St. E team that had Nia Pulliam, Rory Siskowski, and Olivia Lynch that ended up winning the state championship, undefeated, by the way, 15-0. Wow, good job for them. I totally forgot that he went undefeated until it just popped into my mind. But yeah, Sticks has improved a lot. You know, she scored 27 points in the first 8 of the fourth quarter. And it looked like this was going to be one of those games where it's like, wow, another comeback, because I just seen Tatnall come from 8 or 9 down to beat Caravel on that previous Tuesday. So when Sticks went on her run, it was like, whoa, here we go. But Gigi and Taylor locked in defensively in a way that I have never seen eighth graders lock in defensively. Like, they literally were just all over the court. You don't even see seniors play defense the way they did in that fourth quarter. And that whole Ursuline team, they have depth, and they have depth that is young. Like, I think they maybe have 2 or 3 seniors, and the rest are 9th, 8th, 9th, and 10th graders and 11th graders. So you can't dismiss this Ursuline team's title chances by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to be good as long as they keep playing the way they play. And John Noonan, to his credit, doesn't tolerate slacking on defense. Offensively, seems like that team does whatever it wants to do, and it works because they have the talent to do it. But defensively, you have to give John Noonan 100% at minimum. If you do that, then you're going to see the floor. And you're going to see the floor. You're going to play well. And Ursuline is a team. Right now, they're 9-0. I know they play Newman Goretti later today. You know, again, this is being recorded on a Sunday morning, so we'll know more about that game after its conclusion. But as of the recording of this program, they're 9-0, and they look like they're on a collision course with Sanford, who has the experience and the talent. That game is Friday, February 10th. I'm considering parking my car at Ursuline the day of the game, catching a bus back over to my house so I can do my day job, catch a bus back over to Ursuline, and just so I don't have to miss a parking spot. So if you don't have a ticket yet for that one, the moment it goes on sale, I suggest you log in the ticket spigot or whatever it is and get yourself a ticket for Ursuline Sanford on Friday, February 10th, because that house is going to be packed shortly, and it is rarely any good parking over there, because people tend to look at you funny in that neighborhood when you're parking over there for a basketball game. Just saying. Be careful, but be prepared. Tatnall also is 6-0. Of course, they have signature wins over AI DuPont and Caravel to their credit. They have Sanford twice in a 2-week span between January 31st and Valentine's Day. Actually, no, that game is February 15th, but still, it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. So we'll find out more about how good that Tatnall team is. But against Caravel, they proved that, once again, having a post player that can rebound and make plays for her teammates out of the post is going to be critical to their success. It's going to be critical to most teams' success. But Emma Kirby played another one of those games where she sort of establishes herself as the best post player in the state. She only scored 11 points, but the rebounds were there. And then, of course, with her teammates cutting to the basket, you know, Kelly Clayton and Cherish Bryant are super quick. Bree Gauthier can hit from the outside. That's a tough 4 to beat. And Caravel had the momentum, but Tatnall snatched it back in a way that I hadn't seen anybody snatch momentum back from anybody this season. So we talk about Sanford, Ursuline, Caravel is like your big 3. St. E's would have been a big 4, but they, of course, have numbers issues. But Tatnall is here. Tatnall is for real. And, you know, they didn't make it to the Final Four last year by accident. So beware of that Tatnall team. That's your defined top 4 as far as the girls go. After that, you can take your pick of who would be number 5 on down. Woodbridge and AI have looked very good. St. George's and Apple, they're on a collision course for their annual Flight A de facto championship game. That game is, I think that's January 19th. I think we'll be in the building. Yeah, we're going to be in the building for it. I think it is January 19th. I have to look at the calendar. But yeah, we'll be there, whatever day it is, regardless. St. Mark's is 8-1. Cape Henlopen's youngsters, they have maybe 2 seniors, and they're 7-2. I thought they literally would be in the middle of the pack for the Henlopen North, but once again, when you have superior coaching like Pat Woods and you got that young talent that they have, yeah, the Henlopen North is theirs once again. Archmere is always tough. There's still half a season of basketball to go, more than half a basketball season to go. So be prepared to see a lot of interesting results, and you're going to have a lot of good chances this week to see these kids play. And if you can, I'll talk more about the ticket situation in a minute as we close this episode out. Games to watch for on the week of January 9th, January 14th. There's lots to watch out for if you're heading out. Apple visits Howard on Tuesday at 4:45. That's a big day on Tuesday. Apple's at Howard at 4:45. Sanford's at Tower Hill at 5:30. And Dover travels to Smyrna at 6:30. Sean Green is going to have that one for WDEL if you can't make it to Smyrna. St. George's plays at William Penn on Wednesday. That should be a very interesting contest. And Tower Hill visits Caravel at 7:15 on Thursday. We'll be in the building for that one for sure. So First Day Hoops Report will be not on the call, but on the coverage for Tower Hill at Caravel. Girls side of things, Caravel will host St. George's on Tuesday at 6:15. Then they go to Archmere at 12:15 on Saturday. That game could be intriguing from a standpoint of Archmere just gives no quarter. And we've seen what can happen when you make a run against Caravel. And that's not to say Caravel can't withstand a run, but Tatnall did it with talent. Archmere is going to do it by just sheer force of will. So it's going to be interesting to see how that force of will thing turns out. Thursday, St. Mark's hosts Red Lion at 7 p.m. That should be a game that could tell you a lot about both of those teams, and it could go a long way to determining which one of them has the best shot at a bye and a home game in the first round of the state tournament. Also, Ursuline gets a visit from Woodbridge on Saturday at 1 p.m. Once again, tickets go on sale for that one. Be ready, because those are two very talented teams that can see each other again down the line in March. Plenty of opportunity to see these kids play. If you want to check the schedule, go to websiteforsports.com. Has every boys and girls basketball game on the schedule. You can pick a 10-day stretch, a 30-day stretch, or a 180-day stretch. You won't need 180 days because nobody's playing basketball, high school basketball in July. But it will take you through the end of the rest of the regular season. So if you pick the 180-day 180-day tab, you'll see the rest of the regular season for boys and girls. So my issue with tickets is buying tickets online thing. I have an issue with that because it feels rather exclusionary. I get the reasoning behind it because, number one, we're still in a pandemic. So people still are, testing positive for that Rona. So be careful out there. And there's also been, concerns about, extracurricular activities going on inside of games or outside of games. And I get that, you want to keep everybody safe. And, one way to do it is to make sure that people get tickets. People that have tickets. But at the same time, it feels exclusionary to a degree because I know that, for one, Howard is honoring their 1973 boys basketball championship team against Apple on Thursday. And my mother and my aunt, they were Howard students way back when. And they're like, Chris, how do we get these tickets? Because, of course, they want to, see their classmates from 50 years ago. And I'm trying to, I spent 4 years at Claymont Library helping people with phones and tablets and on computers. Trying to help your parents and your relatives with that, not as fun as you think. So older folks may not have a grasp of technology. And there's also the chance that students, who come from lower income environments may not have access to smartphones. That's a reality that people aren't willing to, accept at some point. So, and it's like, bad apples are spoiling the bunch at this point. Like, you can't buy a ticket at the door, and these kids, the kids that want to do right are often the times that the kids that get penalized for the ones that aren't. So it feels unfair. It feels exclusionary. And that's my take on the ticket thing. Like, if you disagree, we can chat it up. You can find me. Our Twitter page is FS Hoops Report. My personal Twitter page is CJ Writes and Things. I'm always talking about stuff over there. So if you can handle my nonsense on my personal Twitter, you can follow me over there. If not, spare yourself. So that's my soapbox moment for this week. And that will do it for this week's edition of Holding Court. Thank you all for listening and watching. Greatly appreciate y'all's support as always. If you want to catch up with us or you want to talk about this week's episode, have any questions, comments, or suggestions, First Aid Hoops Report at Gmail is the email address. FS Hoops Report is the Twitter. First Aid Hoops Report is the Instagram. Facebook.com First Aid Hoops Report is where you can find us on Facebook. And that's it for this week. Got this episode done in a neat and tidy 20 minutes. Wow, 20 minutes. Oh, yeah, I forgot my tree is still up. So that is what I'm going to be doing today for my Sunday. Hopefully, you guys are ready to enjoy some good football. Hopefully, the Eagles clinch so Eagles fans can, come back from the ledge a little bit. Just come back from the ledge. Oh, I wanted to show you guys my hoodie. It's got a good message on it, so I'm going to stand up, show you guys. It says, discover yourself through inner peace, positivity, and relaxation. I wore that for a reason because, winter is a tough time for a lot of people. It just is. It's the coldest time of year. Seasonal depression is a thing. I'm glad we're talking more about mental health because I want everybody to be, mindful that people are going through things. Like this world is like a dumpster fire. You can just look at the news and see just everything is just like, ugh. But just be kind to yourselves. Be kind to the people you love. Be kind to the people that love you. And just find some inner peace if you can. It's hard, I know. But that was something I just wanted to share with you guys. That was my positive message for the week. I may start doing positive messages for the week like Steve Harvey does, closing remarks on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. I haven't decided yet. But just from a basketball standpoint, we could talk basketball all day long. We also need to talk about the human element of things as well. So once again, thank y'all for watching Home Court. Really appreciate it. See y'all next week for the history lesson and a recap of this week's games. If you see me out and about at a game, where will I be this week? I know I'll be at Tower Hill Caravel. I think I got a couple more on deck. Just follow First Aid Hoops Report. You'll see where I'm at. So y'all be good to yourselves and each other and enjoy the basketball this week. Peace out.